We have lived for 500 years in a world where the road to liberty and justice was independence. 200 years ago in Philadelphia, we signed a Declaration of Independence that promised justice and liberty to all through independence. And since that time, every people, every nation, wishing to be free, wishing to be just, has striven for independence. After the Second World War, nations under colonial rule each looked for national liberation and a declaration of independence. Independence has been the way of the world for 5 centuries. But in the last century, starting with the Second World War, the Holocaust, and then the emergence of global markets after that war, increasingly it became apparent that we were entering into a new time, a new millennium, in which independence no longer ruled, in which the forces we face are forces of interdependence. You might call it a malevolent interdependence. The interdependence of disease, the interdependence of war, the interdependence of persecution and bigotry, the interdependence of colonialism, the interdependence of economic inequality, the interdependence of ecological breakdown, the interdependence of crime and prostitution and drugs and the exploitation of women and children that is worldwide and that no one nation is either responsible for or can by itself respond to. We live, in other words, in a world of malevolent interdependence. Even the superpowers, even those powers who had the capacity behind their national frontiers to defend themselves and be sovereign, have learned that their sovereignty has its limits. My country learned, if it had not learned before on 9/11, the limits of independence. We thought the 2 oceans could protect us. We thought our past and our virtues and our democracy could protect us. But we learned, if we hadn't learned before on that day, that we too, like other people in the world, were vulnerable to violence, to terrorism, to war, and to the anger and rage of the world's peoples, that we could not separate ourselves from it. And though we had a powerful army and navy and air force and a powerful economy, that was no match for the anger and wrath and hatred of others. And that therefore, to come to terms with these problems, we could no longer rely just on ourselves. The great dilemma we face today is that the major challenges, problems, and issues of the modern world are interdependent, but the major means we possess for dealing with them remain independent. We live in 19th century nation states who deploy 19th century sovereign solutions to deal with 21st century problems of interdependence that do not respond to them. The challenge then we face is, can we unleash those forces that exist within nations of civil society, of democracy, and of citizenship to confront these international problems? To do that, we need not just doctors without frontiers, but citizens without frontiers. To do that, we need nations willing to look across their borders to collaborate and cooperate in treating with these problems. We live, like it or not, in a globalized world, and the challenge is, can we democratize globalization or globalize democracy in a way that allows us to have solutions that meet the malevolent interdependence of the problems we face? That is our dilemma. That is what we are trying with this day to accomplish. That is the meaning of Interdependence Day.